Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of As the Crypto Churns. No, wait a minute. What do we call this? The Broiler Chicken Show. Um, Kind of just having fun on the weekend here. In fact, after class yesterday, I just took Saturday off and just had enough. Oh, I had to walk away. So hope you guys were enjoying conversating, I suppose. I don't know if that's a word or not in the lounge yesterday, but I popped on early this morning after sort of taking the day off, all refreshed, looking at a whole bunch of charts, posting ideas. And man, it's about 9 o'clock here on the wet coast on a Sunday morning. So I thought, what the heck, why don't we do a broiler chicken show special just for our Asian audience? And I do see a few level oneers getting ready to write their exam. I saw that they might have some question that maybe we can address as well. Yeah, let's take a look at some charts, just see what's going on in the market. Obviously, Bitcoin has validated its trending status here over the weekend, so that's fantastic. We should all be super happy about that if you're a crypto enthusiast. Um, so, I don't know, let's just have some fun. There's really no structure to this. If anybody has a question, you can either pop in the daily brief request room and post it there, or, if you're watching on the YouTube page. I don't even know if I have the YouTube page open here, though, or not. Let's see. There, yeah, at least we're broadcasting. But anyway, if you are over on the YouTube page watching from there, you can pop on over the site. If you're in the Hangout here, and I see we have a few people here, and you have a question, just feel free to ask. Are you still same after running this massive classes? No, not. And in fact, I would even say, just on a general commentary basis, that well, it was aspirational to try and service as many people as possible, and the demand is just through the roof. I actually think the program maybe even diminished a little bit in value with the larger sizes of classes. I don't think it's a good idea, and that's, if anything, the reason why we're not going to do this after Christmas. So, a whole bunch of people just said, please, 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 please. We said, okay, all right, we'll stretch it to the limit as much as we can service you guys. But if anything, our plans are, and Julian actually has crossed a huge hurdle administration-wise for the back office stuff on the site. So he's going to focus his attention through August here on helping us working towards this sort of automated program with the school. And also too, like for broiler chicken shows, for, daily briefs and stuff, I kind of want to focus more on trading and having fun trading. We got all this capital, all this ammunition. I'm feeling like I'm kind of getting left out here a little bit on the sidelines. Been doing some nanny nibbles over the past week or so on coins. Now, we've already had positions in. We bought a little bit of GCR. We can look at the chart if you want. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. In fact, I'm even trying to get the blog updated again. Imagine that. So you can actually go and read up on some of the buys and sells that we've done recently here. But nothing in earnest. And if anything, Julian's even kind of, Brian, aren't these bet sizes supposed to be a little bit bigger? But nanny nibbles, I'm not really going to bet the farm on anything anyway. But on balance, and also too, and I actually really respected a few students after listening to my spiels and going back and looking at the seasonality studies, they just, a few of them, and I frankly, I was actually pretty impressed by them. They're just like, there's a lot of summer back and forth, but I see on balance these things love to bottom through the fall and the winter. And I'm going to leave my sort of lion's share of buying in altcoin land until that window. And frankly speaking, that's not such a bad idea. I think if you're building trading plans to trade versus little old ladies, right? If you're doing little old ladies, I think there's some great ideas. And like I said, I've got a bunch of bids working. We can go through the list. Now we got the stuff working on TradingView, the big fat list here for us to look through. Gee whiz, I have so much fun on a daily basis going through this whole list. So we can review some of the places where I'm thinking about working some bids and am working bids. And there are some names that are looking really, really interesting down here. No doubt about it. But when's the like Brian in his delivery truck sort of tweets and stuff. When is the delivery truck backed up and getting ready to just load the boat on these alts? Usually that's seasonally. It's like September, really, November, December, January. So let's see how that plays out this year. For those that are looking for stuff to chew on, in the short term, we had, and this is what I love about now having a nice robust universe. All I like to do, in the morning is just sort of say, okay, who's moving? It's interesting how we were talking about ETH versus BTC price performance. Even I don't know, was it yesterday or Friday? I can't remember. We have this bullish bot working away on ETH right now. Here, remember we've been talking lots about that recently. And I guess kind of off topic there, sorry. But I love just, coming up, waking up in the morning and just scrolling, just seeing, show me some W's. And man, there have been some real interesting ones. By all means, if you have questions and you want to take a look at one in particular, feel free. What I like to do is if I see an asset that's in an acceptable trade location like Dash here right now. You guys have worked with me long enough. Do you think I'm going to be working a bid off of Dash right now? Anyone, just give me some feedback here. Do you think I would be buying right here? Yeah, we sort of talked about, what could be this sort of what the summer looks like for alts. And we've been using Dash, and Jesus, I really don't like the look of this. All right, this is rather bothersome. Big old fat M there. And I hate to say it, this is kind of like a Hogue disaster just waiting to happen. I think probably, if anything, on Dash, and I know some people were talking about it yesterday in the lounge, or I guess 2 days ago, maybe yesterday morning. Probably a nice little tag of the historic breakout there seems completely realistic. And notice how that's exactly where the volume profile is actually the smallest. If we were just looking at the volume profile itself, we would put on one of these muocs right there and say, some tension needs there. So, unfortunately, I think this. You got to be very, very careful going through. And what I do like to do is I'll just simply almost, and you tell me, Thomas, is Willie's stupid enough of a reason unto itself to take a trade? What is the answer? And hint, 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 it will probably be on the exam. That's right. So, be careful. Willie might go embedded there, right? All right. So what I like to do in the morning is I just simply like to and now you have the ability. Does it make sense why I'd be interested in a name like this MLN? Notice the location, right? Three words in real estate: location, location, location. So I'm very interested in names. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these names when we look at the daily chart that just isn't enough data. This actually is a really interesting example of a name in play where I couldn't really, honestly, I couldn't justify buying at these levels, just, value-wise. But perfect example of a nice coil momentum resolution. And you can see a cute little double bottom. So if you were an ant bull and you were kind of like, damn, I wanted to totally get in on the long side of the ant trade, hopefully everybody, at the very least, just print off this screenshot. What does this look like? Hopefully you can see a little W there in OBB, or excuse me, off of Willie, off of another W. an acceptance above the 50 line, this really nice MACD momentum breakout, the volume breakout, the volume impetus breakout. Lots of bullish stuff going on around here. And if you're like a momentum player, half of, like when it comes to investing in venture capital, generally speaking, I don't like people to really consider ideas unless they're in sort of reload zones. I suppose one could argue there is reload zone. Awfully tough to try and grab that. Bottomy, wedge, right? And then violent resolution to that wedge at what I would consider a crappy trade location. Interesting thing off of this entire range is this might have set up a bot. So I know a lot of people were really interested in this asset, so that's sort of why I'm talking about it here. Bot setup. Oh, right 266. That would have been a tough one. And let's see what the level setup. Why do I get the feeling 25% is going to be like right here? Something like that. And then we'll go. Oh, you son of a bitch. So, interesting how that was sort of, and this actually is a really good commentary. Sometimes I like to front run the bot, see if I can sneak in below that level. So then that way, if move stop to break even, if the market does come back down to scratch, I walk away with a very small profit. It's a tough one. We actually did a sort of talk about this recently in the, I think it was a daily brief video. Let's see, which one is that? Where we talked about if you see M's or W's in moving averages, especially at 13 EMA. Can you guys see how powerful that signal is there, that W in the moving average? Super powerful. So I think if you had botted this, that's so close. That's the tough one. 1, 2, 3 kilos. A little bit nice reversal pattern here to try and get in ahead of the bot. Bot level looks to me like just simply a resolution of this W here. Boom. Moved stop to break even's been hit. Worst case scenario, walk away at scratch. Looks like move stop to trailing level is going to get here. And if you were trading this and looking for a target, 0.007 looks pretty solid. So good example of one where I remember it was coming on back and forth. And I was kind of like, well, maybe wait for the reload zone here. Did hear quite a bit of talk recently about this. And so, if you were a trend continuation trader looking for continuation, how might you have set this up? And I think that looks pretty solid. I think also, too, like if we look at things like Ethereum, they were doing the same sort of thing. The bulls were starting to establish some pretty good levels here. And that trade's just working away. It's moved stop to trailing now. So if anything, play market structure there to sort of keep you long. Looking for 304 bucks on that bad boy. And of course, the biggest, baddest boy around, good old Bitcoin. If anything, guys, we really haven't talked enough about this here today. We sort of started off on a weird tangent there. Good old Brian. There's no structure to this. At least I haven't gotten the script yet, so I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Probably a good idea for us just to take a look at the higher time frames. What the heck is going on? What's the big picture? And in a weird sort of way, I got a funny feeling that we're sort of heading towards good old Amanda's penthouse. I don't really think that there's actually anything out of the ordinary with these insane rallies. Is what does venture capital look like? What is realistic growth, and what's sort of what I find really interesting is the coincidence with this move and this whole sort of fear cycle thesis that I've had all along here. I think the '80 fear cycle peak was all about gold. I think gold to a certain degree still has its values as, you know, sort of a store of value, a sort of last resort, something of value. But I do think that this whole cryptocurrency space has sort of stolen a bit of the thunder out of the gold bugs um, case, if you will. In that really theoretically, this thing should be sort of a safe place to put money in a world where fiat currencies are kind of just, you know, they're worthless. And if we actually roll over and head into recession again, and the central bankers have to ram a bunch more QE down our throat, you know, this is where, you know, Bitcoin might just go crazy. As sort of you know, people give up on the system. And of course, you know, our talks of recent, when we look at the US dollar index, you know, the administration itself in the US isn't going to help the whole paper asset thesis, right? They think they're you know, throwing obstacles and hurdles and digging potholes to hurt the US dollar. So put it all together, really, I don't think anybody should be shocked that Bitcoin broke out to new highs. I think, you know, for us at TRI, half of my job has got to be, and just think of it in simplest terms. We started with this with 500 bucks. So, you know, 550, 560, whatever. The point here is half of my job right now is just to make sure not to give this back. So I take a whole bunch of measures when we start hitting sort of tops of trading ranges and stuff to just simply go in and lock in some profits. And frankly speaking, I don't think that's a bad idea for anybody. We did, in fact, you know, through this topping window, we actually went and bought some gold, right? We actually got filled on one of our hedging vehicles, even another nibble down at a historic gap, and we could take a look at that later, that NBT. As Bitcoin keeps moving higher here. So the point is that I guess is that on balance, our net worth is going up, right? We're long a whack of Bitcoins anyway, and of course all of these crypto assets are technically valued in Bitcoins. So I certainly don't have any complaints. And as a sort of demonstration of how to make money, relatively low risk approach, try and be nice and diversified, don't take too much risk on any one asset. I'm perfectly happy as a nice demonstration model. Probably what I think we need to do now is maybe just simply start moving money out of this tether vehicle into actual physical US dollars. But we'll see how that goes over the coming months. If anything, ironically enough, and I know it's going to sound weird to you guys, but in a weird sort of way, just as crypto assets are going zooming up, you know, when crypto assets, think of it this way, right? And I know this may be hard, but when crypto assets were zooming down, what was sort of the knee-jerk reaction to do? The knee-jerk reaction was to sell crypto assets, but ironically enough, actually, I think the smart thing to do was to actually be buying crypto assets. So, you know, when we're in an environment where they're just ripping the US dollar apart, I would actually argue that as time goes by, ooh, somebody's here in spades. I would argue as time goes by, I actually want to be buying US dollars. So we'll see how that goes. And as I said, half of my job right now is just crystallizing this money that we've actually made and just making sure we don't give it back. And, you know, I might even, you know, we have on the lower time frames, especially I think off of OK Coin, we had some bullish bought objectives here. What have I done? There we go. We got Hogue on here. I was demonstrating a Hogue value trade earlier. And you can see how close we are to those objectives getting hit. I might, on balance, actually even just let them have a little bit more Bitcoin up here. Yeah, sell a couple more Bitcoins. I don't have a problem with that. And we have our tether chart. So we sold some Bitcoins up top here. And I'm actually considering this, and it's funny that BCC trade, almost, I heard a couple people say, and it's kind of cheeky, but in a weird sort of way, it almost feels like that BCC was like a dividend. And that's how I'm kind of looking at it, because we basically sold a little bit less than 2 Bitcoins worth of BCC on that crazy, silly rally there. And I just sort of instantly just turned it into cash. So in a weird sort of way, I'm actually looking at that BCC as a dividend. Still have our stink bids working down low here, but my hunch is these ain't getting filled anytime soon. I do think though, and actually we saw this on the lower time frame charts like OKCoin and that BitMEX. I don't know whether I saw it on BitMEX, but definitely on OKCoin. Before the rally, and I think it was through here when we were looking at like the 1 hour, 4 hour charts, we saw that the profile was starting to look like this, where you had a bit of a definition on the bottom. You had a pretty thick middle with a fairly substantial POC, and then just nothing up top. And remembering that the profile would ideally like to look like a parabola, if we accept above value, then it might mean that we actually have to replicate the range all the way up top. And then also too, I've talked to you guys before about sometimes the market likes to, like a triple distribution, likes to look like if you turn your head sideways, it kind of looks like the market's giving you the finger. Can any of you see that? I don't know. So sometimes when we see that the market's giving you the finger, it means that, oh boy, we're getting ready to fill in all of this. Right now, this guy's got the middle finger up, right? He's got his knuckle, but he doesn't have the right-hand side of his hand yet. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Am I just talking to myself? I don't know. So my hunch is, and lo and behold, if we just simply do an AB equals CD, these fibs are off of current levels, but if we do an AB equals CD going here to here, and then off of this low here, that takes us up to here. The bullish bot, interestingly enough, set up off of this massive head and shoulders pattern that we, I don't know whether we really explored that too much, but I remember there was a nice head and shoulders, and of course this sexy fractal down in here. And then there's also this cute little AB equals CD that looks like it wants to get up into this area. So off of the cash markets, I just don't see any reason to get too bearish right at the moment. But at the same time, I can understand, on the like forwards and the traders markets, they're having some fun up here. This is very typical traders got to trade kind of thing. I think that in the short term, this 3470 level, I would be really surprised if that wasn't hit. If anything, I think, by the way that they've done price action here, it almost feels like there's a lot of traps being laid up here. So be careful getting too cute on the short side until we've had this AB equals CD level hit. And as well, when I look at things like the hourly charts, and this was really interesting this morning. If we start with the higher time frame, the daily, there's that AB equals CD, which takes us up, interestingly enough, right up against this trend line, just connecting these peaks here, right up into this area. We have a couple previous trend line support lines that seem to conflu, I don't know if that's such a word, up in this area here. We had a really cool battle. I think it was just last night through this trend line here. And you notice, of course, the W structure in RSI here and the breaking of this high here. So I think right now on the dailies, higher time frame, The resolution of the 50 level and then the structure off the 50 level says that we're in bull. All right. And I don't know whether it's such a good idea to be too bearish just here in the short term. It is interesting too, though, that we still do very much have this bearish divergence situation working here. So, kind of funny mixed messages here. If anything, maybe this is probably great sort of talk about, Goldman Sachs saying over the longer term things, we're getting near a top. AB equals, or what was it, the Elliott wave thesis. Mind you, I'm just wondering whether Miss Goldman Sachs, whether she kept her job, because you notice that Bitcoin just really had no interest in coming back down here, eh? According to her sort of thesis, we were supposed to see some more back and forth here, and we just never got it. So no divergences here. We recently are broke out, and that bar's finished now, so that's broken through that high. At the very most, maybe we just got to wait for this to show some signs of topping out. Not quite overbought yet, and this potential divergence situation is still very much in play. My hunch is probably over the coming, and keep in mind this is a daily chart, so this probably like over the next week or so, maybe do something like that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So we'll keep an eye out for that going forward. But right now, there is no top here, so be darn careful. We just had the bull resolution off the 50 line. This thing's got room to run here. And if we look at the trend lines, you can see we're kind of in open air here. And did you guys notice on Saturday when we broke through this level, price just ratcheted higher here? Did anybody notice that? Because we're at all-time highs, and that's a really important lesson for all of us to know. That once we go into all-time highs, technically there aren't any old sellers, there aren't any old couch sleepers that are desperate to try and liquidate positions to sort of stop bulls, and you can have violent moves, right? Keep in mind, this, when the market broke to all-time highs this time, look what happened, right? This is just open air. Woo! Well, that's if he survived. That I'd be really curious to see whether he actually survived through all this, right? If he had the patience and discipline and he just buried his face in certain parts of people's anatomies and just forgot about the fact that he bought this and he just did nothing, then great, way to go. But if he got wrapped up in any of the emotion over the past, I guess, what is that? Right? That was that week. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a month. 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 months, right, of just chop central. And really 1, 2, so 2.5 months just to get back to scratch. That'd be really interesting to see. Yeah, well, and that's just it, right? Is we're at all-time highs here. Garrett makes a good point. He just says, we're not at the kill zones yet. Where do they want to take the market? I appreciate what you're saying, Garrett. I just don't think that these are the kind of markets. A market at new highs, I don't think it's the kind of market you want to play with. This could get really dangerous. And if anything, I think, what I wanted to show off of this chart, and some people had pointed this out, on the move up here, can everybody see? Remember we had that tutorial we did one day on the volume impetus last week on BCC? And you notice how the surge in volume didn't confirm the move to new highs in price. You see that divergence? Anybody see that? Oh. So I do remember that there were a few site members that were kind of like, oh, well, do you see this? Remember you talk about BCS, Brian, So I think, if anything, the trade to go short set up off of this divergence, right? That needed to be resolved. And also, too, you can see the MACD divergence as well. And Willie, stupid. So put it all together, I can completely understand what they're saying. And what was interesting too, I had this on earlier, was if we go down to say like a day traders kind of thing, like a 15-minute chart. Actually, you can even see it there well. You can see the cute little double top right there. Can everybody see the M? But you can see, and if anything, this is a really good example. I had an interesting tutorial with somebody on Friday, a regular site member, and we had the cute little short working off of, I think it was this top. And as we were doing the tutorial, the market was coming down, and I was just like, well, it's just a trader's life, you know. I mean, we're short, just, working the trade. If the market goes up through the top, we'll get stopped out. And sure enough, we all went up through the top, and I blew out all the shorts. You just never know where the market's going to top, when the market's going to top. I think if anything, there was a cute little double top that came in up top here that they went after and played with. Right, you can see it, and then boom, they went and busted them, but then quickly right after, boom, 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 put in the top, and that set up this short trade. That's totally a trader's life, guys. So really, if you're a trader, right, you got to be ready, willing, and able to take like 2 setups. If you were like, okay, I'm hunting short setups off higher time frame, we got divergences, I see the volume pattern. The bulls just are not stepping up, right? I'm hunting. We're at all-time highs. Me personally, I don't really like that idea as a trade location. But maybe you make the argument. I think, on this hourly chart. There's a really cool example. Well, where was it? Yeah, fudge. Anyway, we had a really cool trend line tag, and I was really, oh yeah, I guess this was it. Yeah, there. So this is a concept we use in the level 2 program called the high-low trend line tag, where you try and identify the swing highs and the swing lows. So this was a swing low. Then the market rallied back, put in this swing high. So you can actually draw a trend line off of this low up to this high. And look how that tagged that right there. Isn't that cool? I thought that was pretty damn impressive when I saw that. And I think I even did it in class just off the cuff. I just was like, okay, so remember we did trend lines? Okay, let's pull up this chart. You did this swing low, swing high, and it's just like, oh shit. So and if we're doing RSI studies, yeah, this was the chart I was looking at. We looked at those other reasons for a trade off that other chart. You can see the RSI divergence here, boobity boo, boobity boo. So maybe you're like, parking garage. If anything, and let's see, do we Mark and Thomas, both of you are getting ready to write your exam. So coming out of the level 1 program, what do I want you thinking of the parking garage? What should you be doing here? What's sort of your big learned lesson? Well, not necessarily selling, but what's more importantly, if you had bought off the bottom. Uh-oh. How about you, Thomas? Are you here? I know he was here earlier. There he is. Extension, that's right. That's what these are. But really, I think this is a profit-taking location. And really, I can completely understand, right? If you had taken like long setups, I can maybe even remember we were talking about bots and stuff like that. And if you were playing the AB equals CDs up into these levels, makes sense to me. That in essence, if you took, and probably quite a few traders were taking profits through here. In fact, can you guys sort of see the intense battle that's going on here? I don't know whether you can see, but I see, just eyeballing this, I see one top, right? This was a battle zone. Can you guys see that battle zone? Then they took the market up and they established a new battle zone. Then they took the market down, trying to confirm the failure of this, and then they put in a new battle zone. Talk about a battle. Battle, battle, battle. Talk about a fight. And the worst part about it, of course, is our high-low trend line now. We could come up and tag that trend line again, and that would be at a new high. Jerks. So really interesting price action here. Again, do we really want to mess around with markets breaking to all-time highs, shorting them? I don't know, man. I think you just got to cool your jets here. So I guess what I'm seeing is the daily charts are pointing higher. The 4-hour chart, now this is interesting, because in the lounge this morning when I woke up, after taking yesterday off, and just sort of said, okay, based off the 4 hours, what's going on here? Those, remember we talked about those trend lines earlier, right? Like this, this, I don't know, how far does this one go back? So this is a trend line off of this low and this low. Right? You guys see that market structure level there to there to there, which defined this as a trend line. That is the level, believe it or not, that I think the market is trying to battle with right now. You'd never know it, eh? I bet you most of you guys forgot what happened around here. I can't remember what happened around there. But I can tell you for sure, the market sure, I mean, now when we zoom in and we look at what's happened, does it kind of make sense based on whatever the fundamentals of that trend line? I mean, what do you think? To me, that sure seems incredibly important. So, we have just a simple rule with regard to trend lines. Try not to take the trade at the trend line, because you might just get run over. If you shorted this, oh, look how smart I am. Oh, fuck, I'm bankrupt. Oh, I'm smart again. Oh, now I'm underwater, right? If anything, what I think's a good idea is let the trend line be tagged, and then whatever the structure is, if we W here, awesome, buy signal. If we M here, shitty, sell signal. But whatever it is, just let the market structure itself tell you what to do. Does that make sense? Anybody? Other than Jeremy, because Jeremy I know loves me. Anything I say, he'll say it makes sense. Hey, and if anything, this is our sort of Ron Jeremy setup. I don't know whether you guys remember that, right? Is what we really want to see is nice structure. So we are looking at about 1 to 2 days to confirm that. Well, yeah, and the market, hey, keep in mind, higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market, right? I mean, if the market wants to, we can just go blasting through this high and away we go. And if anything, what that sets up is a big honking AB equals CD like this. Whoops. Oh, here it is. Seen this plenty of times. Which, do you see how these trend lines now, if we do resolve above here, what it means is we got a date with this trend line now. Does volume profile, well, yeah, remember we talked about volume profile earlier, right? We said that, where the hell's the damn profile? Remember? We said that the market's trying to give us the finger. But the problem is it's missing the right-hand part of the finger. Can you see the potential finger forming here, Jonathan? So it's usually when it does this triple distribution like this, looks like that. So we're missing this part. And do you see how we could wake up tomorrow morning and CNBC's talking about how wonderful Bitcoin is at all-time highs, and retail comes in and they create this by buying a shitload of Bitcoins right up in here. right? And the interesting thing, what's so funny about this is there's actually an ETF that's floating around there that happens to be right around that price. So, they're just going to go, well, we just knew the price was going to go up. GBTC. Remember we looked at this on Friday, and I was like, well, this is really interesting. You guys remember we looked at this and we said, well, what do we think Wall Street's thinking right now? You guys remember we talked about this channel here? Interesting how even on Friday, or Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, the GBTC guys were thinking up. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. Does that interest anybody? Maybe I'm just talking to myself. So, where should we be thinking this bad boy wants to go? That's conservative. Geez, these guys are going to have a field day tomorrow, eh? So it looks to me like they want to take this thing to new highs. So, all in all, I mean, we got nothing to complain about. We're long a bunch of Bitcoin. We're riding the Bitcoin bull. This is everything that we basically worked for the past 2 or 3 years towards. So, I mean, I'm exceedingly pleased. Ironically enough, one thing I will say though is I'll be surprised if they don't bring Bitcoin back down to a buying level for the New York boys. I don't think the New York boys are going to want, and London boys, I don't think they're going to want to not be given the opportunity to get in off of this historic level. And as I said, sort of, and maybe I said it, maybe I didn't. Earlier, if I draw reload zones, I find it really interesting right now. There's the bullish bots. Yeah, I think this bullish bot's going to be hit, man. But anyway, that's here and there. Where was I? Where did I do that? Around here somewhere. Oops. Too many charts. Too many charts. My head's going to explode. Not there. It's one of these darn charts. Here we are. So, wherever the ultimate top is here, right? And if anything now, a nice move up to those highs. Okay, coin hits its bullish bot. Can you guys see the divergence that's potentially coming in here now? I mean, this thing needs to almost go to perfection. It has to go above 88 on strength index wise for it to not start building a divergence. So my hunch is that, wherever the hell this ultimate objective is we set up here, on OKCoin we have 3470. So if we just sort of eyeball that 3470 area up in there, do you notice how 38.2 and then 50% are going to be nothing more than going back and tagging those old highs? You see that? So what I think needs to happen here, and we might see this sort of like Monday, Tuesday, and then into sort of like Wednesday, Thursday kill zone kind of thing, they actually bring it back into a buying window. That's what I'm also thinking here, guys. Does that make sense? Enjoy the rally, and if anything, if we start hitting those bullish bots and we start getting some insane blow-off tops, I might just let them have a couple more Bitcoins out of the account. I mean, hell, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm actually thinking that I'd like to go and buy back some of these liquidated coins on the subsequent retest of this level that I'm kind of hoping for over the next, through the course of the week on that sort of 38.2 kind of play. Got to tell you, I mean, we got nothing to complain about. Jeremy is probably worth another $1 million, bastard. And what's really interesting too is, as people said, there are lots of altcoins that are actually going up right now. So it's not like you can't make money from trading in this market as well. Okay, well, that's good to see, Jeremy. Keep your balance. Remember, we had a few of these coins we've even talked about, and I posted in the lounge that MLM is actually moving up while this is moving up. I don't know whether about ZEC just yet. I'd like to see a nice little W come in there. Did notice it's a bit early for me on BCC, but I did notice a bunch of people are getting really interested in this little W that's trying to come in. So, you know, the irony of it all is that I saw people in the lounge reporting, oh, we've finally we've finally been able to move our coins over to BitterX. And do you see, guys, how what a coincidence? People are now able to move their coins over to BitterX. Are they going to get a nice high average selling price for their coins? Or are they going to get kind of a shitty price? You see how the market just absolutely played them. Oh, it's almost embarrassing. So the irony of it all is, I mean, I don't necessarily, what are you guys going on about over there? Something about vacations? I don't necessarily want to take the trade here. As I said, I almost considered this almost like a dividend. It was such a nice trade. We were able to get some nice sells off up top here. It was just a nice dividend as far as I was concerned. But I could understand if people want to trade this. You know, there's a W coming in here. You want to take your shot. I think the internals are still nothing to write home about. But, you know, traders got to trade. You can see the structure coming in here. You want to trade it. There's your levels. Let's see. Actually, what I want to do here is there was a few that I was really impressed with. Fudge. I can't find them now. Remember we talked, well, I mean, we just quickly go through these. We talked about the waves, cute little double bottom. You can see it working away. And I love having this profile here now. Oh, I remember this one. I was totally interested in buying this. Look at this guy take off. Look at that W, right? If I can get the damn charts to cooperate, right? Beautiful W. Off she goes. Here's a great example of the market just coming back and tagging the original breakout level and just continuing right on. So if I did want to do a line in the sand kind of trade here, where the hell's the bottom of this thing? Oh yeah, it's way over there. My hunch is I got to keep dragging this up and keep adjusting my bid as that level changes. So that's sort of the status on where I'd be wanting to be a buyer there. That MIST, no fill there. Boo. Look at this beautiful pay. Remember we even talked about this the other day. Great looking breakout on volume. So there are names. Yeah, 4 today. Cute little W right in there. You could have traded. Cute little, I don't know whether the internals were too sexy. But, I mean, all you got to do is just, now we've got the list on your trading view, just simply hunt trade location, look for little W's that lands in the sand, and away you go. I guess that's my spiel. Here's another one that I'm working a bit on. Look how close I got filled. And, you know, the irony of it all is it might be a whole bunch of you guys are all working bids down in here and you're front round me. Look at this. Damn, you son of a bitch. Oh, that's hilarious. So no fill there. Obviously, we were thinking in the right direction, though. Damn. Ah, well, that's what you get for being public about your buy levels. Cute little W there. Look at that. Sweet. So really my suggestion is just load up the list. And I noticed somebody also actually put together a list that also has Trex, Polo, Hitbit, all the altcoins. I think it was San. So if San's comfortable with giving out to the public, that's not a bad idea. A little V cash is starting to perk up here a little bit. So you can see bottoms are coming in here, right? This is, if anything, guys, this is a trader's paradise. Just find your locations, find your 3 reasons, obey risk management, and go, go, go. Wow, look at them all. There's so many. Some are in half decent locations. I mean, it's going to take me a while to go through all the list. Oh, Internet of People. Now, this would be really interesting to see if this one survives. I frankly don't know whether it's going to or not. But it didn't take too big of a bet, so I'll just let it work. Hello. Hey, SLR. Son of a bitch. See how you like to just, this is what you have to do. You got to just simply surf through these damn things. So, you know, it's a little late to chase it down in here, but if this is sort of the top, we can start thinking about working bids off of lines in the same. I mean, I've already got a whack of this. I certainly don't need any more. But if I wanted to, oops. All right, so we have our, oh, oops. There's our nice buying window. What a coincidence, 78.6 can be right off those lows. If it stops there, then in essence, you're just simply trying to sneak back in off value low there. Love that OBV, sex-alicious. Where's Jamie? Jamie should be pretty happy to see that. All right, so there you go. There's an idea for you to chew on. Merry Christmas. PDC. Oh my God, we were talking about this in yesterday morning. Does anybody remember yesterday morning? I posted it. It was just breaking out here yesterday goddamn morning. And I even posted in the lounge. I go, hello. And the interesting thing is you didn't have to chase it. I don't know whether you got a 78.6, but you can see that the breakout level seems to be right in here. You got this one candle, cute little inside reversal right there to try and get in off the 13 EMA if you wanted to. Geez, what a cute little trader that thing turned out to be, eh? Wow, what a trade. All the way up to 44. So you could even have gotten a double off already. Jesus. There's lots of stuff popping here, guys. Keep your eye on this guy. I wanted to show you. Whoops, what the hell is that? Yeah, somebody's calling me. Who's calling me? That's funny. Wonder where it comes in. Oh, over here. Oh, I think I'll answer that. My mother is calling. Brian, would you please eat your vegetables? So probably wind this up in a bit, and I will have to be calling her back. And I suppose we'll probably hear the cell phone go off. So interesting one here, this Blitz. Let's keep an eye on him. Cute little double bottom if you're a trader. Keep an eye on that. Nice little momentum turn here. And you can kind of see the wedge here, right? Coming to a resolution. Lots of fun. Ooh, hello, Park Bites. Oh, now they, I'm going to have to answer this. She's calling in on the landline. I'll be right back. That's adorable, eh? She thinks it's a sell. So go and buy some more. Anyway, look at that little bad boy, Park Bite. You know who this is? This is Alex, Dutch Alex. We had Dutch Rob here earlier. Dutch Alex. I don't know whether Dutch Rob, did you ever meet Dutch Alex? Anyway, he's a character. He was the one who was all excited about this thing eons ago. So, cute little bottom trying to form there. Cool, look at that. Good old KMD. Remember this story, right? That was a play on some other coin. I can't remember what the other coin's name was. Interesting. You can see a lot of really cute little bottoms are trying to come in here. Ooh, I like that little bottom. Sexy. Oh, got bids working, you can see, but no fills. Jerks. I have to move this up now. So I'll just keep working my line in the sand bids. I guess I gotta adjust that now. So, oh, hello. Look at that cute little momentum push. You could even trade this cute little double bottom right here. Down, up, down, breakout. Buy, stop just below here. Not much risk. I don't know what's going on there, but you can see somebody just came in and bought in size. Kind of shitty chasing it. Maybe work your bids if you want to. Maybe sprinkle some bids in here. Cute little name. You can see there are a lot of really good. Whoa, look at this little one. Break. Oh, I was watching this earlier today. Yeah, these breakout stake and breakout coin. I don't know whether you guys have ever heard of them before, but that game credits, and then there was one that I bought, GRC, I think it was. And there's a student in our level 1 program who's like super jazzed about getting in on this space. And these guys are another one of these sort of gaming coins. So really interesting action down here. You can totally see they flushed somebody out here. Interesting accumulator. Below value too. Nice little double bottom to work with. I don't know where it's going to close today. Obviously, today's still pretty early. But if that thing closes green on the day, it's a pretty good little coin. Oh, hello. There's another little double bottom. Nice little fractal type pattern. Nothing really to write home about. Cute little W's, though, coming in on momentum and volume. It's not a bad little market, right? Locations are really looking really interesting here. Yeah, interesting. Look at this. Nice little bold divergence here in OBV, maybe? I don't know. That's a tough one. Nice divergence trying to come in on MACD. What is this? This is wings. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of names that look really interesting down here. Oh, couldn't touch that one. And I think Lisk is still too expensive. If anything, what I'm noticing is that the newer names, the newer coins that haven't been sort of tainted, they're looking interesting. The ones that are a bit old, like Steam It, for example, man, this thing just can't get out of its own way right now. And I kind of leave, trade ideas off of these ones, because keep in mind, Steam It's still got a lot of cleaning up to do here, right? So a lot of these kind of names that just aren't in very good trade locations, maybe just leave them alone. Something like this, I don't think I could consider. It's just still too expensive. What's that? VRC coming back down to fill in some gaps. Interesting double bottom here. So here's one where if you get a nice dump below value, our good old buddy Hogue would be very interested in taking a look at this thing down here, right? And considering it's just coming in against its original double bottom, right? That sets up a really interesting trade location down here. Let's see. I noticed that some of them, like Art Bites, ooh boy, better leave that guy alone, NXC. Don't like the look of that. Where's that Art Bite? Is this it? Yeah, look at these kind of crazy moves, right? So if you do start seeing bottoms within bottoms within bottoms, right, and you start to see your indicators turning back up, right? Woo, get ready, right? We could rock and roll here. Hey, there's Fjord. Hey, Fjord, can you just maybe give us an update as to what's going on with the algo and what new stuff we're looking at here? Okay, so that wasn't intentional. I was just wondering what we are looking at. All right, well, maybe we'll leave it at that for now. Okay, I've been just sort of jibber jabbering away, slowly scrolling through the list here. Just, randomly commenting about coins that look interesting. By all means, we can take some time and just look at your ideas, and I can give you my 2 cents, sort of talk to you a little bit about what I think's happening with Bitcoin. I mean, rah bull. Enjoy the bull, guys. It's a bull. Enjoy it. All right, let's not all fetter about when price is going to crash. I think this is a bull market, so just enjoy it. And then, as I said, you can go through, and if you can find coins that are rocking and rolling in the face of Bitcoin doing what it's doing, oh boy. So there's still money to be made. You have to be very, selective. You have to really pick your locations. You have to really obey risk. Not all of the ideas are going to work, but there is money to be made out there. In fact, I wanted to mention one. I'm a little surprised it's not on the list because it's one that I think I can actually start thinking about bidding again. And it's one that one of our, not necessarily veterans, but this one gentleman that's on the site right now, I've known him for a few years. I think, is it this one? No, it's not that one. Start, maybe? I know, I mean, we got so many of them we have to watch now. I think it's this Start. Yeah, there we go. So I think a good example, can everybody see how the market's trying to come back down against this historic W down in here? Right there. We dipped, if you could, we dipped back against these lows here and put in this structural bottom here. I had originally, we've been playing this coin for years here. You see the kind of profit potential that is just sitting there? This kind of looks like, hopefully you see, this kind of looks like that NAUT kind of idea. Where, at some point, and do you guys remember, who can finish this expression? The longer the channel, the bigger the run. Close. So, this is a kind of name where I think, and hats off to Coin Magic, I think his screen name is. I think this is a very good idea. It's not a bad idea to start accumulating a name like this, but you're not looking to make double your money next week, right? Well, I mean, you might. This is crypto, but I mean, like, this is like 1,300. Right, this is 10,000 right here. This is 20,000. This is 30,000. This is 40,000. Do you see what kind of money these whales really want to make here? There's no reason why this can't do this again. If anything, it's just sitting there saying, "All right, when's my turn?" Do you see how these guys, the whales, make fortunes here? I think it's not a bad idea to try and get yourself into a risk-free trade as fast as possible. And really, in this little guy, you could have probably already established some nice little risk-free trades. And that's kind of what we did in the wintertime, riding this back up. And the question ultimately is it time for a second car? You guys ever heard us talk about that expression before? Second car, third car? So this perfect example of, okay, we're going to load up through sort of crappy seasonal period, December, January, we had to wait. Here, this is sort of like Nanny Nibbles territory. Here's the pound the table, it's going to the moon kind of thing. Load up. If you're not loaded up to 5% risk, get in there and load up, right? The market rallies, woo, banging out doubles, right? Free coins. Then it comes zipping back down against the lows, and you just simply strap on your second car for sort of the same game on the next wave up. Beside the ceiling hosting issue we have with the occasional timeout, the algo lines are now restored on the dashboard. Yay! Thanks, Jord. How about these little individual charts, especially for the crypto people? Takes a while to load. There it is. Yay. Do we have the mini charts? No, no mini chart. Oh well. So, still sort of just working away on that. Thank you, Stuart, for at least trying. Interesting breadth right now. We can see, remember a little while ago on the altcoins we were looking at, it was just like massively negative. So you can see it's good to see that at least in the short term we brought them back. And if anything, that's also brought them back a little bit on the medium term as well. Actually interesting too that the altcoins, and I guess this also makes sense, the altcoins right now are actually the strongest sector in the market. Isn't that cute? All right, yay, Mr. Algo's back. Hey, Mr. Algo, I missed you. So we were musing through last week about whether this was going to break down, and sure enough it did. And here, if anything, was that commentary about the pocket. You know, remember we had talked about the air pocket when this thing just breaks above and this is still trending lower. Here we had the air pocket right here. Interesting. So we'll get ready to talk lots about that tomorrow, I suppose. Okay, so let's maybe just go look at some of your ideas and then send you guys on your way. So China Tim, since you were the one who asked me to do this, there you are, XCP on Polo versus Trex. Interesting. And actually now we should be able to go like this. XCP, yeah, there we go. Hello. And then XCP on Bittrex. All right, well, yeah, like kind of the same. Interesting, look at this gap right here. So Trex, oh, look at China Tim, check this out. You see how there was a gap right here that needed filling in? And look at what they did here. Boom, boom, see ya. That's interesting. They're going opposite directions at that time, but then they did the same thing. Okay. I've been under a stone offline for 3 weeks. I see we have Trex on TradingView. Yeah. So pop into the lounge, Rob, another one of your country mates, Sen, actually put together a very robust list of all the altcoins on TradingView. Yeah. Well, there's a few things on TradingView that Coinage can't do. I got to remember how to pronounce your name. Tang? Did I do it right? Time? Time? I hope I got that right. It's like time, but with an N. Time. Okay. Yeah, volume profile is really big. So, but you know, there's interesting commentary. You see how they left a gap right here on 0.0039 on Polo, and I also see a gap here, 0.0039. So you got a gap on both charts there. That's interesting. A little bit of a gap on Trex up here, but I don't see it on Polo there. So, I don't know. On balance, looks like a coin that's trying to find a bottom right now. It looks like because they took it to new lows here, they weren't quite ready to call an official bottom. As soon as you start seeing this look like W's, then you'll know that we're off to the races. The fact that this had to go to a new low here, though, right, just simply means this, yeah, this might be a new W forming here. Tough to say. And also, too, this is venture capital, right? If anything, what I kind of see is this market symmetry kind of thing. This might end up looking like this, which is just going to piss everyone off to no end. Oops, not sure what I did there. Let's try and do that again. Our pattern. And flip that around. Looks something like that. So this may just be like chop Vegas here. Chop, 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 chop. I don't see anything happening over the short term. I love this level as a long-term buy level, but I don't see anything to say that it's going up just yet. If anything, probably want to see the volume start to ramp up here. So right now the trend in volume, it's nothing to get excited about. And I suppose if we put on our indicators, it probably don't really jump out at us here. MACD, you know, you had a nice little bullish divergence there, which was this rally here. Willie was stupid. Nice little W there. Again, that's what that rally was there. OBV, and really this is sort of our tell that, you know, technically price had set up, and I've talked to you guys about this before. I think it's a really good sort of nice, simple, keep it simple, stupid kind of thing. You can often see price momentum set itself up, but if the buyers just don't show up, can you guys remember we talked about volume impetus on that BCC, I think it was? You see how the buyers, they had the opportunity. Price momentum was set up, but the buyers just never bothered showing up. You see that? Anyone? Who asked Tim? China Tim. Tim China. China Tim. Tim Bab. If anything, this is a perfect sort of commentary on using OBV and volume impetus to validate your breakouts. Okay? Maybe you might want to incorporate volume signals. You know, if we were looking at volume profile alone, Hogue doesn't get interested in buying until we're below value here. So that maybe bring that in. Yeah, oh boy. So Hogue's value low is actually down here. You see that? And look at this cheeky little tail right in here. Mind you, if we drill in, I bet you we find some price gaps down in here. There. Uh-oh. I see one. See that? Doink. Oh boy. Could be still a little bit more pain here to go. Make sense? Remember we did that symmetry study? You can almost see the way that this thing's going to play out. I think I know where it wants to ultimately go. But at the same time, is this a respectable area to be a buyer? Well, to me, this isn't really that big of a deal. Considering I could see like a double, triple off of these levels, just testing this high here. If I zoom out over time, right, if this thing ever gets going, Is this a kind of name where it's worth taking my shot down here just to add to my portfolio and just be nice and patient? Sure, I'll do that every day of the week. So, hopefully that helps you. I don't mind buying down here at all whatsoever. In fact, I think I did recently buy some down here. Okay, let's see what else we got here for you guys today. Stock request, RMCF. I think I looked at that. AEON. I think AEON took off there. Maybe yes, maybe no. All right, we'll pop on back over to these guys. See what they look like. AEON. See the difference in the analysis. Well, I like the location. Not bad. No buyers. A little disappointing. Looks like we had a bit of momentum divergence, but that was played out on these nutso rallies here. So if you did play, and really I don't even see much of an opportunity. I suppose maybe in here. And if you did play that, you should have got your double. That's probably exactly what this spike was. Guys who bought here were selling halves on doubles and getting the hell out. Erosion, right? Oh boy, this thing could still come down a ways. Coming down into some interesting levels though. If you're patient and disciplined, I think this is probably going to be an important level here going forward. And if we do good old fibs, my hunch is probably somewhere in that area. So we go zub, 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 down to zub. 78.6 is right there now. Wow. I don't like the volume pattern here, but, really nice and stupid, divergence building, location. I don't mind Nanny Nibbles down in this area, thinking selling probably into the next seasonal peak up in here. But I don't certainly have any sort of, pound the table, got to buy it. And my hunch is we're probably going to come back against this important level here. So no real big hurry. And if we go look at the profile, my hunch is that let's take a bet. I think the profile is going to look something like this. Right, where we probably want to be buyers here and sellers here. Let's see, that's 5,000. Oh, wow, very different profile. Wasn't expecting that. So, doesn't look like a lot of buyers have stepped up here. Yeah, so that initial bar is going to screw up the profile. But what I like to say there. Interesting. So I had actually thought that the profile was here. I didn't include this. Longer channel, the bigger the run. Obviously, all the smart money's long off of this level. So if you want to join them, I think you work your bid. Yeah, again, remember we had pointed out this is the bottom, if you will. So that's the level that you really want to concentrate on. If you want to be a buyer, you're sort of catching a falling knife right now, working bids. You want to let some structure develop, like this W first. Let the divergences actually confirm first. Totally fine by me. I don't think there's a big hurry here. All right, let's see what else we got here. AEON, VTR. All right, let's go see what we got. Let's go over here first now. VTR. Boosh. Oh, nice pop. And nice drop. Typical crypto. Yeah. I mean, if anything, this is exactly what we just talked about. Notch needed to be filled in. So, bids down in here, totally fine. Suppose you got to be worried at 4,800, gee whiz, so 10,000, they were sellers here. So they got their free coins off. I think the trade's probably done for the time being. Looks to me like there was massive distribution here. I don't know whether maybe there was even some news talk about wallets, all that kind of stuff. My hunch is, trade below value, found buyers against these lows. Trade above value, found sellers against these wicks. Not really a big surprise. And as I said just a moment ago, if you could have snuck in off of this area, you actually should have a free position now. And I wouldn't even be surprised if the traders are just playing ping pong with this just to drive everybody crazy. So if you want to get in on this, I don't know, it's not really my cup of tea, but bids down in sort of the 52,000 area, I guess. Offers up in the 5,200, beg your pardon. Offers up in the 10, 13, 12, 13,000 area. That's probably your range for the time being. Okay, and let's see, what else do we have here? Can you take a look at PASE? I think they can justify any nibbles. Let's see what we got here. PASE. Oof. Well, it's definitely on its knees, that's for sure. We're coming into this original tail. How low does that go? 5,500. Coming also against these original lows too. Very interesting. So really the question ultimately is, and actually this would be really a good question for you guys. What do you think about the viability of this fundamental story anymore? I remember back in the wintertime, man, everybody was just rah, rah, rah. But, excuse me, if fundamentally you guys just aren't interested in this anymore, then you might find a tough case to find buyers. Nobody? Nobody said boo? Nobody said word one. That can't be a good sign. PASC. Interesting how that's not even, I guess this isn't even on BidRanks. Where is that? PASC. This is on Polo. Well, if it's just on Polo, unfortunately, that's not a good sign, eh? Yeah. So, just the fact that it's on Polo alone. Probably if you got news that this thing was going to be transferred to Trex, it probably would launch. So really the question ultimately is if it's just Polo, that in itself might be what's holding it back. It is on Cryptopia though, so maybe we should go work some stink bids off Cryptopia. I do like using Cryptopia as sort of kind of like keep you honest. It's quite remarkable how there's big gaps and stuff on Cryptopia that just aren't on the other sites. It almost looks to me like there's some sort of floor off of this level here. Notice how we're coming into that area. You can see the divergence is confirmed and Willie is stupid. And really, on balance, not a hell of a lot of selling here, is there? So, yeah, I think the viewer, you're right. I think, little nibbles against the bottom end of the range here aren't the end of the world. Do we actually have any bullish setups per se here yet? I don't think so. We've got divergence. We've got location. We just don't have any structure yet to work with. And if anything, what I'm a bit concerned about here is just even yesterday, this thing was trading at a new low. And volume, the sell volume is ramping up here a bit. So until this thing actually does W, I think you just got to cool your jets. And that's sort of what we saw over here, right? Made a new low, rallied back into resistance, inside bar, and we're coming back down to test these lows. If this thing can come down here and it can hold without breaking and then turn back above this level, then I think we have a valid Hollywood Nick, right? Or El Tangonator. Big if, right? No guarantees from the management, but something like you're going to buy the W if this W does come in, and I'm not saying it is. What the hell's the damn thing? What the fuck? I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It's limitless. Well, I'd use this trade tool, but I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Wow, look at that. How bizarre. Excuse me. Oh God, that guy's voice is so annoying. I don't know how you guys deal with that day in, day out. Alright. Okay, so at least we can put the tool on here. Let's see what we got. Oh, what a mess. All right, so nanny nibbles, it's not a bad idea. Try and make sure you're not going to take too much risk on this thing, though. You have no way of knowing whether it's going to survive here or not. If you want a hunt set up, Jesus, this trade tool is just a total pain in the ass here today. Just kind of what a piece of shit. I don't know what to do with this fucking thing. Now look at that, it put everything at 0? What's going on here? Wow, how bizarre. Huh. Something's just not right here, right? I wonder if it's a computer or whether it's the browser or what. All right, well, let's see if we can get this silly thing to work now. Okay, once upon a time in a land far, far away, right? If this thing W's, which we have no guarantee of just yet, and you wanted to take the risking against the lows, then your target, minimum target, should be 2 to 1. And the question ultimately here is that realistic? And we like to try and figure out if it's realistic just by using the 50% rule as our targeting tool. So we go off the most recent swing high down to the most recent swing low, and then apply 50% rule. Not bad. So, keep an eye. As you said, you've got divergence that's confirmed. Volume doesn't look too bad. I don't really see the bulls that interested here, though. But you can see they perked up a bit. Really, the question ultimately is, does this W come in? If it does, well, then rock and roll. You got yourself a trade set up. Not bad, 2 to 1. So there you go. And the question ultimately is, do you want to be trading on Polo? If you don't, and you're thinking, well, I really do want to trade this, but I don't want to be on Polo, I'm going to head over to Cryptopia. If anything, I think you don't chase the market on Cryptopia. It's exceedingly thin. Pick the levels that you're willing to pay and just work your open orders and be patient. And remember, we talked about price gaps earlier, right? You guys see how, what was that price gap that we had over there? So we had a target of 0.003236. And so this gap is sitting at 319. 326 is our order level, and the gap's at 319. Isn't that incredible? So 326 is like right 324, 325, 326 is right there. So isn't that interesting how that gap almost lines up perfectly with that 50% level? If anything, what you should probably do is knock your bid down so that when this gap fill does come in, you get your double at that level and really, just be happy with that level. So, do the math, whatever you have to do to figure out what level it is to get your 2 to 1 if you're going to take that risk off the bottom. But like I said earlier, we've got new lows here. We just had the counter trend rally against the moving averages and the failure. Just play it cool here. There's no hurry. Okay, so I think that's basically it. We've been talking for about an hour and a half here. I don't know. Have you guys gotten any value out of my ramblings here today? All right. Well, that's good to hear. All right, I think I'll leave it at that. Got to go get pretty for the boy, and of course, call the stepmother back and make sure she's doing okay. So you guys have yourselves a great rest of your day. Long and short of it here, I don't think it's in anybody's interest to call tops on Bitcoin just yet. If anything, let's just let the, especially Sundays, Monday morning kill zones get out of the way. And let's take with some fresh eyes tomorrow morning, see what kind of damage they do tonight. Let's take a look at price action and whether we should be having any big conclusions here. My hunch is on things like OKCoin forward, still looking for 34.70 on the upside. And if we do have to start correcting and cleaning up the rally, where is, yeah, as it stands right at the moment. So we had 34.70 on the upside, which we're getting pretty close to. If we do fail here, then 29.74 or the old breakout highs is probably a very realistic downside objective. So what the hell? What's a $500 price range between friends, right? All right, you guys have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best. I sure hope you're enjoying this bull market. If you're long, you just got a nice big shot in the arm overnight through the weekend. If you're short or you're shorting inclined, be damn careful obeying stops and risk levels. Kind of like what I did with my shorts. As soon as the original reason to have the short on was taken removed, I instantly covered the trades, and I'm very thankful that I followed the plan and did what I said I was going to do. And just enjoy, right? I mean, try and build a plan that sits around your personal anxiety level. Play from a position of strength and just have some fun in the market. Okay, why don't we leave it at that? You guys have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.